Picture this: the world's second largest economy, a manufacturing powerhouse that powered global growth for decades, is now trapped in a devastating spiral of self-destruction. Chinese companies are slashing prices, not to win customers, but just to survive another day. Profits have evaporated. Industries are hemorrhaging billions. And Beijing's own regulators are warning: there are no winners in a price war. This isn't just an economic slowdown. This is involution, an economic cyclone so destructive it threatens to reshape China's future and send shockwaves around the globe. Welcome to Decoded. If you're new here, we break down global economics and geopolitics into stories you can actually understand. Hit that subscribe button now, because today's story you absolutely cannot miss. So, what exactly is involution? The Chinese word is neizhuan. Imagine a theater where one person stands up to get a better view. Everyone else stands up too. And now everyone's just as uncomfortable, but nobody can see better. In economics, involution means companies are working harder, producing more, cutting prices deeper, but nobody is winning. It's a race to the bottom, where the only guarantee is mutual destruction. And right now, in October 2025, China is facing the world's most severe case of economic involution. Let's talk numbers, because they're staggering. China's Producer Price Index, a measure of factory-level prices, fell by 2.3% year-over-year in September 2025. And here's the kicker: that's 36 straight months of deflation. Factory prices falling for 3 full years, month after month after month. Consumer prices down by 0.3%. Weak demand means people aren't buying, so companies cut prices even more desperately. China's growth for 2025? Just 4.4 to 4.6%. That's the weakest post-pandemic recovery for China on record. Zoom in on the carnage, industry by industry. We'll start with electric vehicles, the sector that was supposed to be China's crown jewel. Back in 2020, China had over 500 electric vehicle brands. That number is down to 129. And by 2030, get this, analysts expect only 15 brands will survive. That's an 88% extinction. The median profit margin for Chinese EV makers? 0.83%. Many are selling at a loss just to keep factories running. BYD, China's EV giant, saw profits plunge 30% in the last year, despite record sales. Why? A vicious, relentless price war. EV prices in China are down 19% in 2 years. BYD, accused of selling below cost to crush rivals, is now bleeding from its own strategy. They've slashed 2025 sales targets by 16%. For the first time since 2020, BYD's sales and production are actually falling. Now, the solar industry. In the first half of 2025, China added 212 gigawatts of new solar capacity. That's twice what they built the previous year. By June, China broke a world record, 1.1 terawatts of solar. But it's no victory. This overproduction caused solar panel prices to hit an all-time low, just 7 to 9 cents per watt, the cheapest in history. Result? China's solar industry lost $40 billion in 2024 alone. Companies only running at 50 to 70% capacity. Any higher and losses skyrocket. The government had to cut export rebates and force factories to slow down, just to prevent self-destruction. Prices rebounded 9% in Q4, but it's too late for many firms. Involution is spreading across China's economy. Overcapacity is crushing battery makers. Heavy industries, steel, cement, machinery, are locked in chronic deflation. They survive on thin credit and local government support. Major e-commerce and tech platforms are caught in extreme discount wars. Free delivery, cutthroat deals, all for a few points of market share. Regulators have begun warning these firms to stop bad money driving out good money.
By October 2025, Beijing intervened.
The government cracked down on disorderly price competition, cost investigations and price monitoring, penalties for selling below cost, pushing for industry self-discipline, forcing bankruptcies, mergers, and consolidations. But critics say China tried this same strategy before, with state firms in the 1990s, again in 2015 with steel. It didn't work then. So, how did China end up here? 4 deep causes. First, perverse production incentives. Local Chinese officials compete for central subsidies by exaggerating factory targets. They're rewarded for output, not profit. Factories keep going, even if they're losing money, as long as government credit keeps flowing. This is called a soft budget constraint. Second, collapsing domestic demand. Chinese consumers have stopped buying, devastated by a property crisis. Property values have crashed at least 30% since 2024. 70% of China's household wealth is in real estate. Youth unemployment hit 18.9% in August 2025, a modern record. Household confidence and spending are at historic lows. Consumption is just 38% of GDP versus 68% in the US. Third, policy rigidity. Growth and output quotas are set in 5-year plans, and missing your target is a career ender for officials. So they keep factories running, even if it means overcapacity. Fourth, export dependence and trade barriers. The US under Trump has imposed average tariffs of 51%, and sometimes up to 145% on Chinese goods. Europe is considering similar measures. So, Chinese firms keep cutting prices to keep exporting, spreading deflation worldwide. The property crisis is the accelerant. China's real estate was once a quarter of GDP. After the tightening of 3 red lines, major developers like Evergrande defaulted, leaving unfinished homes and unpaid buyers. Investment plunged nearly 13%, new starts down 23%, and sales down almost 19% in 2025. To keep GDP targets up, Beijing funneled investment from real estate to oversupplied industries like electric vehicles and solar. They valued quantity, not market demand. Why does this matter globally? First, deflation exporting. Chinese goods are cheap, but this destroys foreign industries and jobs. Second, trade war. The US and EU now see Chinese exports as dumping, triggering even more tariffs and global supply splits. Third, investment uncertainty. Foreign investment in China plunged 12%, with companies and supply chains at risk. Fourth, commodity price impacts. China's slowing demand drags down world metal and oil prices, hurting countries worldwide. What happens next? 4 possible futures. Gradual stabilization. Beijing forces bankruptcies and consolidation. Industry shrinks, prices heal, but job losses risk unrest. Long-term stagnation, the Japanification scenario. with slow growth and chronic deflation for years. Miracle reform. China pivots to consumption, letting citizens spend more, but this means giving up control. Highly unlikely for now. Shock crisis. Involution spirals. Banks face bankruptcy, and social unrest spills into the streets.
Why isn't reform happening?
China's entire political system is built on growth targets. Officials won't risk missing quotas. State firms, party control, and Xi Jinping's policies all resist true market reform. Letting companies fail risks instability, and that's the Communist Party's greatest fear. Here's the takeaway. China's involution crisis is proof you cannot subsidize your way to prosperity. Deflation is hard to escape once it takes hold. For the world, this crisis will reshape trade, commodities, and politics for the decade ahead. If you found value in this analysis, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We'll track the story and update you as it evolves. Share this deep dive with anyone who wants to understand what's happening in China. What do you think? Can China escape involution? Or is this just the start of a long decline? You've been watching Macro Decoded. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep decoding the big trends that shape our world.